Get control of that thing.
Man, it was just going on and on. Well, hey, thanks everybody for jumping on and joining us. I see a few here, Barbara, Elizabeth, Greg, Mark, Nick, Omar, Raina. Hey, thanks for all jumping on here. I know more people are jumping on as we kind of get started here. So again, thanks everybody for being here today. You know, we love jumping on here with you guys, sharing some insightful, helpful resources to the digital marketing world. For those of you who may or may not know everything about VitalStorm, we've been doing this for almost a decade. So, you know, we feel like we can help the home service industry when it comes to kind of your full digital marketing strategy. And so today we're going to jump into what other options does a home service company have when it comes to digital marketing. You know, everybody's familiar with PPC, but everybody's also probably familiar with that cost is kind of going up year over year. And so today we'll really kind of take a look into understanding some more effective channels that you guys can utilize to hopefully bring in some more traffic across all these different channels. So to kind of step back all the way to the beginning, my name's Austin. I've been with VitalStorm now for about 5 years. Josh Moran, he's been here from day one. He's one of the founders here. And so, you know, I'm going to turn things over to Josh here in just a quick second. And really the first thing that we're going to talk about today, and I know a few of you guys have been in our previous webinars as well, but the first thing that you guys might remember is taking an account. And again, we talk about this every time because it's so important to know exactly where you guys are standing when it comes to your marketing strategy. Yep. You know, you can work with really anybody, and you know, anybody can put on the marketing hat and make something work for maybe a year or so, but you really need that partner, like we said in the past as well, that's going to help take you guys to the next level, explore these different avenues, and make sure you've got your full funnel plan working. So, Josh, I'll turn things over to you here for this first slide. But the first thing that we'll really talk about is kind of optimizing the lower funnel strategy.
Exactly. So again, you're here because you know that the cost for PPC is increasing. And I don't think in the decade or more that I've been involved in this, wow, it's been over a decade that I've been involved in this industry. I've never seen it go down. And that's because cost per click rises. And it rises because prices always go up. And there's usually more people coming into the market, especially in local services. And most of you are probably in the home services, which we are seeing continuing to grow and grow and grow. And that just means cost in marketing could increase. And especially when you're dealing with paid search, which is an auction, you know, the more people that are bidding, the higher the bids are going to be. And then plus you have some bigger players coming in and doing some bidding up as well. And so like Austin said, we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We want to take an account, right? Take an account of what is working, what is not working, where do we need to improve. And so like Austin said, we're hoping to hit all those things today. We won't be able to dig down deep into a lot of the details, but that's why you can have our contact information. You can reach out to Austin and you can get some deeper answers. If we have time, we'll have some Q&A here at the end. But what Austin's showing here at the first is, the first thing we need to understand after taking account is, let's understand the marketing funnel. You know, I don't know if you're familiar with the sales funnel, the marketing funnel, the buyer's process funnel, but there is right there at the bottom of that funnel is where action is taken. And this right here is where local services thrive. This is where home services thrive. There is a special or a certain number of people, they're not, I guess they're special, but there's a certain number of people that woke up today that needed a plumber. And we can't alter that number unless we go out and break pipes throughout the night, which, hey, that might be a strategy. I wouldn't get behind that strategy, but there may be some people out there doing that. But if we can't control that number, all we can do is capture that demand. And so those people that are in that section of the funnel are there because they need to take action. They've got a need. And so this is where direct response marketing works. And if you're in local services, especially home services, if you've got you need a direct response marketing strategy. And that is, these folks in that take action section, they respond directly to the marketing. They need a plumber, they search for a plumber, they click on the ad, they call. That is where pay-per-click really serves you well. But we're all here on this webinar because we're seeing that cost go up. Well, let's make sure we're optimizing and utilizing all the best features and strategies. Whether you have an in-house team or you have an agency, make sure that the plan is solid and that you guys are utilizing all those features. We'll be talking about some of those a little bit later in this webinar. But up the funnel is also the other two areas. At the very, very top is the awareness. That's where people who we can reach those people in that area to make them aware of your products or services. They may not currently be aware of them, but we can utilize that area to make them aware. They don't need you yet, but you can be in front of them. That's where you see billboard marketing come in, display ads. We'll talk about those in a little bit. But that's where people are made aware. Now, the idea is if we can make them aware of you before they need you, we're building top of mind awareness. So when they do need you, they'll call you. Or you can even use this as a strategy to mitigate the cost down funnel, where it's cheaper for them to search for Bob's Plumbing in Dallas as opposed to Dallas Plumber, right? Or wherever you are. We happen to be in Dallas. In that middle section is the consideration, right? And so you guys might already know this, and I could be insulting your intelligence, but I just want to set the stage here. In that consideration phase or section or area of the funnel, that's where they need a service. They're considering a service or a product like yours, and they may not know about you, but we can get in front of them so that they could consider you. So we can make them aware of you, to consider you, and then take action with you. And so right now, paid search for most of our strategies out there in local services is all down here in the bottom funnel. We can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We've got to be there where people are taking action. But what else can we do? Okay, so we can get onto those things now, Austin. I wanted to set the stage with this with the funnel, the basic marketing funnel. Also, you got anything you want to say about this case study?
No, yeah, I was just going to kind of point out that this case study was from a real client, real ROI. I believe they're over on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but we are implementing a lot of these lower funnel, upper funnel strategies for this particular company, and there's some really great results here. I mean, here's a screenshot of some of the stats from some of the summer months that we're running, and I mean, it's looking pretty good, Josh. I mean, what kind of really stands out to you the most here?
Okay, so I know this slide's a bit busy, right? That's an actual screenshot from a report that this client, this is their performance. And what stands out to me is the 106,000 new customer leads. And then there's another 79 or so repeat customer leads. And that cost per lead is, at the very first number, $25. And you can look there in the breakdown, the line items, to see how each one of those campaigns breaks up. But this is, you're right, Austin, this is a West Coast client in a very highly populated city where there's tons of competition, and they are still driving a huge ROI because their cost per lead is very, very low. Now, I know cost per lead is huge. We always need to focus on cost per lead, but it's not the only indicator, right? We need to look at the volume, right? And that booking percentage, that might appear to be quite low for the industry, but this is a unique client in that they are able to cherry pick their customers. They don't say yes to everyone. And so you can, when you're ahead in the game, you get to do that. And so they don't sniff at that booking percentage. Additionally, these reports that you're looking at always show a little bit lower booking percentage because it doesn't account for outbound calls. And you all know that sometimes there's a multiple call series where you call back out to answer a question, then you book the call. And so I expect their real true cost per lead to be closer to 50%. But even then, that's low. But these guys are so far ahead that they're cherry picking. And sometimes you can when I talk to these guys, they tell me about the calls that they let go of, and I've heard recordings of calls that they've let go of, and that's where you want to be. You want to be able to cherry pick your leads, your customers, so that you're ahead of the game. I like this report because it shows you and everyone on here that there is a way to continue to build value through or get as much value out of your PPC program. I don't like when people throw PPC under the bus. Yeah, it's getting expensive, but consider the lifetime value of those leads you're getting. I mean, there's 1,006 leads. What's the lifetime value of those leads? That is outrageous. That's enormous. So what we need to be doing is thinking about how we can most optimize and utilize our PPC strategy, and then also start branching out to other areas. PPC is like the throttle for your call volume, especially in local services or home services. You can throttle up or down. And if you have a really good handle on your paid search strategy, you can feel that. Just like when you push the throttle, push that gas pedal in your car, you feel it go, you feel the lurch. You also feel when you let off of it. And you can feel that same thing in your call volume with an airtight paid search strategy. That's the key, though, is you got to have an airtight strategy. So work with someone you trust and that and they have a plan out in front of you, and they can go out and execute on that plan. Or maybe you're doing it in-house. Make certain that person is trained up and ready, and they know how to use that throttle. But there's also other areas of digital marketing that we're going to jump into. But PPC is still, in my opinion, my advice to home service companies or local service companies is, yes, invest a good amount of money into paid search. And then the goal is we want to see really, really good reports like this. But even if we have a bad month, we understand that there's outside factors that contribute sometimes to why our lead cost is what it is. But when we have an airtight strategy, we can work towards something just like this. Right, Austin?
Right. No, absolutely. And I think combining a strategy with these lower funnels, with PPC and LSA and all those other things, you should start to combine those with SEO, all these other things that we're going to talk about today to have that balanced strategy, because, you don't necessarily have that full funnel strategy if you are optimizing a couple services that lie within that whole marketing funnel.
Yeah.
And so that's the second thing we're going to jump into is, a lot of people always try and say that it's PPC versus SEO. You've got to pick one or the other. But we really think that they work hand in hand pretty well together.
Absolutely. You don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but you also want to make sure that you stretch and try new things. And these might be new things that you have tried in the past but didn't seem to work. And we're going to talk a little bit right now about organic, about SEO. And don't jump off the webinar, because I know sometimes we don't want to hear about SEO. We don't want to hear about that scam, because there are some common fears and misconceptions. But here's our approach. Just like Ben Franklin, if you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. With every marketing strategy, especially SEO, you've got to have a plan. And that's where I think most agency and client relationships get off. Or maybe you've hired someone in-house on your team. You don't know anything about SEO, but you hire some whiz to come in and do it. You have no idea what they're supposed to be doing, and you feel like you're just paying them, and you don't understand if you're getting results, or you feel like you're not getting results. Well, if you had a plan, then you would see where we're going, and then you could look behind you and see if we've made those steps. And so you got to have a plan. And I believe that a plan with goals and milestones and objectives in there will help you overcome those fears and misconceptions. There are some bad SEO players out there that really they're just taking money and telling you that they need more time. We know that SEO is a time game. We also know that SEO is an art. There's a big, huge book on my desk over here called The Art of SEO. It's not a science. I wish it was, because we would roll up our sleeves and put on our goggles, and we would crack the code, and we would be, whizzes at everything that has to do with SEO. But sometimes you just gotta get in there and work the art and the magic of it, right? So every situation is different. So overcome those fears and those misconceptions with a plan. That's our advice, is have a plan. And like you're showing here also on the screen, that PPC and SEO are parallel strategies. They don't need to be one or the other, right, Austin?
Right. Yeah. No, they always need to go hand in hand. I mean, that's kind of like what I said earlier. A lot of people you see say, well, you got to pick one or the other, or maybe one's going to hurt the other one. But yeah, that's really not the case. I mean, they tend to work really well together, because again, it's going back to showing up across all these different channels, and you never know where you're going to catch your traffic from.
Yeah, man. I remember being a kid, and we would cross over those railroad crossings, and I would look out the window, and you can see those two rails, just like, it seemed like they were going on forever. And you just as a kid, you wanted to go explore what was down there. But if your mom's like my mom, she would go crazy if she ever caught me on a train track. So it was like this magical thing about these two rails just going off to who knows where. That's kind of what I see in a parallel strategy with paid search and organic search, because they work hand in hand, and they take the train where it needs to go. And I've talked to companies that depend heavily on one or the other, and every time we're able to find areas where they're lacking. And so here's our advice: is you need to have an SEO strategy and a paid strategy. Now, the problem with depending 100% on paid is that you're too dependent on it, and you've got to continue to feed money into it, because you're paying for those clicks. Not a bad thing. I know pay per click sounds terrible because you're paying for every click, but again, there is money to be made. There's a strategy there, and we see it all the time. We talk to hundreds of home service companies that are killing it with PPC. We need to also see a SEO strategy, an organic strategy along with it. And here's why. The short term is where your strategy is for PPC. You drive leads today, tomorrow, the next day. You're building leads out for this week or even for the month, depending on how far you book out. If you were doing PPC for 5 years and growing and getting successful, and you found a way to have a great ROI and you got great, cost per lead, it's all fitting and it's airtight, and it's working really well. How much better of a position would you be in though if you were also over that 5-year period investing in the long term, an SEO strategy? And here's the thing, at that 5-year period, you could probably pull back. You would definitely need to depend less on your paid search strategy. You may not spend less because your business is probably growing and you're probably spending more, but you are probably less dependent. That's where you need to be. You need to build a long-term strategy and a short-term strategy together for that well-rounded, what do you call it? Would you say balanced strategy, Austin? This balanced strategy. You don't have a full strategy if you aren't optimizing paid and organic together. There's also some other benefits, Austin, right, to organic search that aren't just leads immediately.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think one of them may surprise a lot of people because not many people are thinking that, their traffic is going to come from voice search, because nobody really thinks of Siri or Alexa this way yet. But that's where Google's saying things are going, that people are going to start using these virtual assistants to say, hey, Alexa, find me a plumber, or find me a local plumber near me. And that's one of the big benefits of SEO, is you can already start preparing for that. And so much more to be, so many steps ahead of all your competition when this voice search actually starts to make a difference in these different marketing channels.
Yeah, that's it. So when we think about these marketing strategies, our goal is always leads. We want to invest in paid search because of leads. We want to invest in SEO because we want leads. We wouldn't be investing in marketing if we weren't trying to get leads. That's obvious. There are other benefits to SEO as well. There's not currently a paid strategy for voice search, but all the SEO experts these days, their advice for optimizing for 2020 and 2021 is around voice search, and also continuing to advance mobile search, because the mobile devices are always innovating. Even the search engines are changing the way they index for mobile search. And so an SEO strategy that is in this era, the 2020, 2021 era, have voice and mobile baked into it. Because you're right, Austin, that's where we're going with voice search. It seems still pretty far away that someone's going to say, hey, Alexa, find me a plumber. Right now, it's still a lot of, Alexa, what time is it? What's the temperature? What's the weather? Play that song, things like that. But eventually, as we become more used to and familiar with these voice search engines, we're going to be asking for services and things like that. And we want to be ahead of the curve. You can be optimizing now for showing up. And so a great SEO strategy includes voice search, mobile search, and also always the nemesis in most local companies' web presence is their maps. Either their maps aren't accurate or they're not showing up. And it's a labor of love. That's what SEO is. You always got someone in there working on it. And it's just like going to the gym. If you can't just go to the gym once a year. You can't just go once a week or once a month. You've got to have a regular routine, and you got to have this regimen in there, and you are building the traction you need to live a longer, healthier life. It's the same thing with your web presence in SEO. PPC is going to help give you the juice for today and tomorrow and the next day, and plan out, your call board and booking for the next week, 2 weeks, month. But your long-term strategy that's going to take you into years from now is going to be a solid SEO plan. That's why I want to see those two together. And of course, the last thing you have on there, Austin, is backlinks. Now, I know sometimes we get a little cringy when we hear the word backlinks because all the backlink farming that was out there. But still, backlinks are very good for your SEO presence if they're the right backlinks. And you've got to have a strategy that includes getting those backlinks organically. And it's a labor of love as well. And so that's why we call this paid and organic a balanced strategy. Right, man?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that even helps kind of segue into the final topic of today's webinar is it's not just PPC and SEO. You know, those are typically the two services that most of the phone calls I have on a daily basis are what people are asking for. You know, but nobody's really asking for those upper funnel strategies that we mentioned earlier. And it might be because they're still fairly new, but you know, that's what we're here for. You know, we're here to help design that full funnel approach and help kind of get these new services into the market because they're being used every single day. They're new, innovative ways to capture traffic when people are or aren't searching for you. And so that's the last thing. I mean, it's almost 2021, which is super crazy. It seems like not that long ago, we were all watching iRobot and flying cars in 2030, and I don't think it's going to happen. But there's a lot of other cooler things to look at. And I think one of those is looking upper funnel because there's so many cool, new, innovative things that have come into the market just in the last couple of years.
Exactly.
And that first one's Google Display. So I'll turn it back over to you, Josh.
Yeah, so we're all here today because we recognize that our pay-per-click cost is going up, and we don't like that. And so, you know, we started off this morning saying, take an account, make sure everything is in order. And then once you've done that, you should have a good idea of where you need to go next. And for many of us in local services, we're not yet investing time and resources or money into the upper funnel stuff. So some of that upper funnel stuff is Google Display Network. And so we've all seen it. You know, we've been surfing the web and we see ads, image ads that show up. You can be there. You can be in front of people. Now, you may have tried that in the past and didn't get much out of it. Well, I've heard that story so many times. I myself have been a part of display campaigns that didn't produce the ROI we were looking for. But I'll tell you this, a lot has changed since you last tried it, because this is the part of Google's paid search engine that is constantly developing. Google knows so much data about the world. There's millions of data signals on just each one of us. And they collect all that data because they're perfecting their advertising models. And most of that goes into display. The overwhelming majority of Google's revenue comes from display ads. And a lot of the bigger companies use them because we see that they work. But they can also work for local service companies, local home service companies. The idea is you just got to have the right strategy. So Google Display is getting those ads in front of people. A part of Google Display that you can start immediately. Call your digital agency right now. Well, wait till this is over and call them, or talk to your in-house team and tell them, start remarketing ads immediately. That is a strategy that you can start. That's part of the display network. When people visit, you've all done it. You've been to Amazon and you looked at a product, and now that product is following you around everywhere you go online. Well, you can do that too. You can, when people visit your website or they visit your landing page, they can continue to see image ads. And the key is having the right strategy, so it doesn't feel like you're stalking them or annoying them, but you're actually closing the back door so they don't leave, and you can get that appointment booked, or at least increase the percentages of getting that appointment booked. Also, advancements with display, Austin, is discovery campaigns, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's just, it's one of those things that everyone's using because it's, you know, Google owned properties, YouTube, Gmail. Everybody's got one of those things. I mean, it's another easy way to capture people when they're not necessarily searching for a plumber or electrician, but it might be in the back of their mind that they might need one of these particular services at some point in the near future.
You're exactly right, Austin. You said everybody's using a Google property, whether you are a Gmail account owner or you're on YouTube. I mean, who's not on YouTube? We are all on Google properties. And what's unique about discovery campaigns is your image ads, your display ads can show on Google properties like Gmail, like YouTube. And it's going to be a lot like remarketing, where, but the difference is they never visited your landing page, never visited your property, your website, or your landing page. But because Google knows so much about us users, we can now, through Google discovery campaigns, we can target users based on their search activity, right? And so they can see your image ads, your display ads, simply because they're in the market, or Google believes they're in a market based on their search history or their search activity. And they will display those ads in their Gmail account or on YouTube when they're on YouTube, and we're all on YouTube. And so these discovery campaigns are a new innovation in the display world for Google. And it's also how Google is answering back to Facebook ads, because it's going to have the same feel and look, and it requires the same creative strategy in many ways. And so this is also a new discussion you should be having with your digital marketing agency, or if you have an in-house digital team, talk to them and have them do the research and find, or if you got questions, reach out to Austin and we can resource you with more information about discovery campaigns. This is brand new. It's only been around for a very short period of time, but this is going up funnel, where we're not just capturing searches, but we're actually getting out in front of people and trying to go up funnel, people who may be considering your service. This is where discovery campaigns really come in, because Google is already determining that this is someone that could be considering it. So they're going to display that ad right in front of them.
Yep. Yeah. Another place that kind of we touch on a couple times, though, is also, YouTube and how that can work, for the home service industry.
Yeah. Thinking about if I'm running an HVAC company, you can't convince me that someone's going to go to YouTube and look for me on there. It's just not going to happen, right? I totally get that. But here's the thing. People go to Google to look for an HVAC repair company or a plumber or any service, and they're going to go back or go to YouTube just because. We're always on YouTube. And so why shouldn't we show ads on YouTube? Even though we know people aren't going to go there looking for me, they are looking for me in the search engines. So why not display ads to them when they're on YouTube? And so that's the dynamic shift right there. That's the paradigm shift, as Jeff, my partner here at VitalStorm, likes to say a lot, is that the paradigm shift is understanding that, oh, you're right, people don't come to YouTube to look for me. They're already there anyway. So why wouldn't I try to advertise my services in front of them? Now, the key is having the right strategy, having the right targeting, and also having the right creative strategy. So talk to your digital agency about these things. Bring these up in your next meeting. If you have monthly meetings with them or weekly meetings or quarterly meetings, bring these things to them. Ask them these questions. Or if you have an in-house team, at the next staff meeting, lay this on the table. Let's look at YouTube. And again, like I said, this shameless pitch. If you have any questions, reach out to Austin. He's available in there to help resource you guys with this kind of information. And last but not least, Austin, is Facebook ads, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Another one of those areas that I think you said it the other day to me, and it blew my mind how much time people spend on Facebook. It's just another one of those things that people are on all the time. Yeah, it's a great way to get in front of people.
Yeah, that what we were talking about was one of the last conferences I was at. They showed a statistic that the average user in their average session scrolls. We all do it. We get in there and we just start scrolling, right? They scroll. This is no joke. The length of the Empire State Building. That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of scrolling. And this is why when we've tried Facebook ads, if you've tried Facebook ads in the past and they didn't work, well, the reason why is they just weren't standing out. It doesn't mean that Facebook ads don't work. I mean, everyone's on Facebook. Of course, you can get your ads in front of a bunch of people. And a lot of people are paying a lot of money to advertise on Facebook, and they're making a lot of money off of it. The key is always going to be targeting, right? Getting the targeting right. But on Facebook, it's so much more about the right creative strategy. Now, this is where local services can struggle because they feel like they don't have the resources to invest in a big agency coming in and designing a really flashy campaign. It doesn't have to be flashy. You just have to have the right people to help you understand what's going to pierce through that crazy noise and everything that people are bombarded with on Facebook as they're scrolling. What's going to get them to stop, look at your ad, click, and then go down that buyer's journey until there's an appointment booked, and then they're paying an invoice for your services. And so Facebook ads, if you've tried them in the past that didn't work, give it another go. The stakes are higher now because the cost for paid search, especially PPC on Google Ads, is going up. And that's because cost per click is rising. And that's because more people are in the market, and then they're bidding up. And so naturally, like an auction or the stock market, supply and demand, it's going to go up. And so where can we be looking for these other areas? Well, first, take an account. Make sure that you have everything in order, and then move on to other things. Go up funnel and start looking at one of those things you want to make sure you take an account of is bringing an organic strategy in, but then go up funnel with your paid stuff in Google display ads, discovery ads, YouTube ads, and Facebook ads. And so I know it can seem like a lot, because it is, and it can be overwhelming, but that's why you need a partner. That's why you need someone on your team or an agency that can come join you and partner with you to help you through this. And if you're watching this and you're a manager or an owner, then you've had to learn the hard way, probably, the art of delegation. So delegate these things to your team, or delegate them to your agency, and get them to do the research and the work and prove to you that this is the area you need to go. This is our advice. We all we see is digital marketing, and we talk to so many home services or local service companies out there. And this is our advice to you. When that cost is rising, where can you be looking? These are the areas that we need to be looking.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And thank you all for joining us today. Like Josh said, there are so many different avenues that you guys can explore and take a look at if PPC, if the cost is too much, or maybe it's just not driving the amount of leads that you guys are needing. There's all these different other avenues that can help. And so Josh has said it a few times. You guys can definitely reach out to me. You can even reach out to Josh. I can help that connection there if you guys have any questions or would like to continue this conversation. So please note email, phone number there, and also our website. Our team has done a spectacular job at rolling out a new website this year. There's a ton of great resources, which relates all the way back to point one, is taking into account. I think every single page on our website has some sort of different form fill, or get your assessment done, or receive this guide that can really help you guys see where you guys are sitting in the market and what steps can be taken to help get you guys to the next level. So thank you guys again for joining us. We'll open it up for a little bit of Q&A here if anybody has questions. So we'll sit back, we'll watch the questions come in, and we'll answer them as they do.
Absolutely. And if you've never used chat, that's where those questions are going to go here on this webinar. Just drop them in there. I see a few people have already dropped some in. Austin, it looks like you already answered Elizabeth. She was asking if the decks will be available after the webinar.
Yep. Yeah, we'll have a recap link that's going to go out to all of you joining here today. That'll have kind of just a short snippet blog reviewing what we talked about. It'll have a recording of this video, and you guys can download the slideshow as well. And so that will be coming here in the next couple, I'm hoping tomorrow we'll have that ready, but if not, at least by the end of the week, that's for sure.
Omar says, thanks guys, great webinar. Hey, we love the encouragement.
Yeah, thank you, Omar.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, we'll wait on here a few more minutes in case any other questions roll in. And again, for those of you still on here, if you don't want to ask the question now, take a screenshot of the slide here and please reach out. Absolutely, Barbara. Thank you. I'm glad we could offer this insightful resource to you. See you, Omar. Yes, there will be a replay of the webinar. We will post that in that recap link. So I will make sure I send that out to all the participants that joined. So I will make sure I get that to you so you can watch the parts that you missed.
Yeah, I saw they came in just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, no problem at all. better late than never. And I'll make sure to send you all the resources, and please let me know if you have questions.
Yeah. Hey, we still have Mark on. Mark joined he joined early. He's the early bird, and he's staying late. Mark,
He gets the reward.
he gets the prize. What prize does Mark get today?
We'll have to come up with it. We could start having a webinar for the person that joins first and makes it all the way to the end.
Yeah.
He commented, he said, yay, exclamation point.
That's awesome. You know what Mark gets? He gets free access to the next webinar.
Yes, he can join first in 3 weeks when we have our next one.
Yeah. No, glad to have you, man.
Perfect. Let's see. We got a couple more people hanging around. One of those couple people hanging around is Jordan. He's part of the Vital Stern team here, guys. You might hear from him every now and then. He likes to sit here and listen and learn from us. See you, Mark.
All right. I guess that's it for the day.
Yeah, I think that's it. So we'll wrap up here. So anybody else that might be looming around, maybe Zoom's glitching, not showing me, thanks for joining us, and have a great rest of y'all's week.